Alrighty, today we are going to be making what is inside of this brown paper bag. So let's take a look at the contents. Alright, so you all got a brown paper bag, and inside you have some form of straws, string, and tissue paper. And some of you got straws that already had the flexi part cut off. You guys are all set with the straws. Those of you that got the straws like me, where you still have the flex, go ahead and cut off the flex portion of the straw for all of them before proceeding any further, all right? Do the time lapse. All right, now that you have all of the flexi parts of your straws cut off, let's move on to the string. All of you got some string. Some of you got loose string that's already been cut into approximately 3 feet in length. And you should have gotten 5 of them. So some of you also got your string in the form of a little pack of thread. So for you want to take that pack of thread and you want to start off similarly. You want to take about approximately 3 feet in length and cut off. And it's always a good idea to have extra. All right, great. So now that we have our string and our straws, you were also given 2 pieces of tissue paper. For now, you can just take that tissue paper and set it off to the side. So when thinking about the straws, you should have 24 straws that are approximately equal in length. The closer they are in length, the sturdier the tetrahedrons will be once they are built. So once we are done with the step that we're about to complete, you will have created 4 tetrahedrons. And what a tetrahedron is a pyramid with a triangular bottom with 4 faces. So in order to make these 4 tetrahedrons, we are going to be using 4 of the 5 pieces of string that you were given. Again, if you have the thread spool, you're just cutting your thread as you go and proceed through this step. All right, so let's get started on making these tetrahedrons. The first thing that you want to do is you want to grab one of your pieces of string. And what you're going to do is take this piece of string and 5 of your straws, and you're going to be feeding, using gravity, the string through each one of your 5 straws. So it'll be just like this. So after you feed your string through your 5 straws, you are going to have a little bit of extra at the end. And extra in this project is really, really important. You can see that on the ends of my completed tetrahedrons that I have loose thread at the ends of all vertices, okay? So here, what we want to do is, one, make sure that you got some dangling off the ends of each side. And now we just want to sort of play with these straws until we've created a triangle there. And then creating another triangle with the other 2 straws. So again, you're just moving the straws around while they're slid through the string until you have gotten the shape of a triangle. and another triangle. And once these are formed, you have your excess string at the ends at a vertex. So what you do is you will be tying this string around this vertex. So what you want to do is make sure that your straws are tucked in as much as possible. So you want to limit the amount of space there is between the two straws. You want to see the least amount of string as possible when doing this. And once you've done that, now you're ready to tie it off. I've found that the easiest way to tie these off is to leave the figure on the table and just sort of lift up on the edge to bring the string underneath, and then feed the string through and make your double knot. Just a classic double knot. So you do it on that end, just pull it tight, and then one more time. And then we will do the same thing on the other side. Again, if you have shifted your straws a little bit and you got a good amount of space there, just go ahead and tighten that up. And then do the same thing. Just leave the figure on the table, lift up the edge, bring the string underneath it, and then feed the string through the loop in order to make your double knot. Bring it nice and close. See, I got a little bit of a gap there. It's not going to be too much of a problem. And then one more time to make my double loop. All right. Good. So now once you have this shape all tied together, what we are going to notice is that we have our dangly edges. That means we're doing a good thing. The next step is to take one of your straws, okay, and one other piece of string. Now, this is the part where if you got the spool of thread or the little bundle of thread, you're doing fine. You're gonna have plenty of string for this. Now, those of you like me that were given 5 pieces of pre-cut string, you have this one extra piece of string, what I'm holding on to do this step 4 times. So let's take a look at this step. What you're gonna be doing is feeding the string through just like we did in the first step, using gravity to feed it on through. But now what you're gonna do is you're gonna make sure you got about 1 inch, 2 inches dangling off of one side, and then you're gonna take some scissors. And at this point, you're gonna take your scissors and you're gonna cut off the same amount that you have dangling on this side over here on the left side. So I'm just going to estimate it, and I am going to have a little piece of string spooled through one straw, just like this. Now, what are we gonna do with this? We're gonna take this edge. First off, you're gonna take this string that you just cut and you're gonna cherish it. You're gonna keep it safe because you're gonna need it a couple of more times.
You're willing.
Okay, so let's go ahead and cut the rest of the pieces that we'll need. Okay, we got one, and we can set that off to the side. Even about 1.5 inches. Set that off to the side, and then the third and final piece. And we have just enough. So we'll go ahead and keep those pieces safe, and we'll continue on. All right, set it off to the side. Now what we want to do is we want to tie this straw to the top vertex of the triangle. Okay, so I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to just lift up the edge, feed the string underneath, and then begin making my double knot, all while leaving the figure on the table. That just limits the amount that you're moving it around. Okay, so you got that. And then you're gonna make sure that you got your little bit of straw. Let me go ahead and finish up this double knot here. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to grab the loose string, the end of the straw, and we are going to attach it to the other vertex of the other triangle. So like so. So this time around, you're not gonna leave the figure on the table and tie the knot. Rather, you're gonna lift up this side and carefully begin tying your knot.
It'd be helpful to leave a little extra string.
And if you need help with this step, get some help. All right, now that we have this shape completed, we are going to repeat this step 3 more times. And by the end, you will have your 4 tetrahedron shapes. Okay? So go ahead and repeat those steps and then we will proceed. All right, so now that you have your 4 tetrahedrons made, now it's time to put that tissue paper to use. So you're gonna want to have the tissue paper, a marker or black crayon, whatever you have to write. You may not want to use a really sharp pencil or a really sharp ballpoint pen, as that might tear through the tissue paper. You should have gotten 2 pieces. Mr. Tillish really did his best with these supplies here. So if you notice that you're missing a straw or a piece of string was too short, I am really, really sorry. But you have 2 pieces of tissue paper. You can go ahead and take one of them, leave it on the table, and the other one just set off to the side and keep it safe. What we are going to do is we are going to trace out some triangles. And for each one of the tetrahedrons, we are going to be repeating the same step. We are going to lay the tetrahedron down, and then we are going to do our best to trace the general shape of the tetrahedron. We do not need to be exact. Okay. So once you have that traced, what you're gonna do then is you're going to flip it on over. And what we're gonna end up, and trace again, what we're gonna end up with is the vague shape of our original shape that we made when we first strung our string through the straws. Bring it to a point. Remember, it does not need to be exact. So then you can remove this. At this point, you are going to want to make some tabs. Yes, Mr. Tillish just got permanent marker on the crafts table. I'll be showing Mrs. Tillish my expo marker trick to get rid of that. But in the meantime, you can have a giggle. What we are gonna do is we're gonna draw some little tabs, okay? So the tabs purpose will become a bit more clear here as we proceed. But right now, what you can do is create a tab by turning this side into a trapezoid. Like that, okay? So, and then you can do it again on this side. And again, they don't need to be perfect, but you are trying to make a flap. This is gonna end up securing the paper to the straw. And again, another trapezoid. And you can see we're not being exact here. And there you have it. At this point, you can fold your tissue paper over, and you can trace out the shape of your tetrahedron here, again, so that you're not flip-flopping the tetrahedron or having it there. You can simply just recreate, because we will assume that the tetrahedrons are the same size approximately. Okay. Have 4 of them by the end. So you got 2 here, and then you can go ahead and grab your other piece of tissue paper, lay it down like so, and finish tracing out the pattern. So after you trace out your tetrahedron shapes with the attached tabs, you are going to take some scissors and you're going to cut them out. And you're going to cut along the outside perimeter line all the way across. So I'll go ahead and finish up tracing out my tetrahedron shapes while you do the same. Okay, so now that we have our 4 pieces of tissue paper, match it up, we are going to take our shapes with our attached tabs, and we are going to begin wrapping each tetrahedron in a piece of tissue paper. So we'll go back to our original shape. We'll set our tetrahedron down. Make sure that you have your Scotch tape. I think it's going to be easier if you have your pieces of Scotch tape already taken off the spool, just so that you have them handy, because you are going to be using your planter hand to keep your tabs down while taping at the same time. So kind of like so, we're going to take our pre-made tabs and we are going to fold them over like so. Okay, so take that, and then you take your piece of tape and put it like so, and then you'll repeat that for the right hand side. Get it on in there, and then just like we did when we were drawing out the shape, go ahead and flip it, and you want to make sure your little stringy doohickeys are sticking out, because those will come in handy very soon. And then go ahead and finish off the job by attaching the last couple pieces of tape on in there, like so. Get that on in there. Get my piece of tape. Latch it down. It's a done deal. You now have your tetrahedron wrapped with 2 of the faces uncovered. Okay? And we are going to repeat this step 3 more times. All right, kids? Go ahead and continue on with that. And I will see you on the other side. So let's stretch in here.
What's going on there, Mr. T?
Feet are falling asleep. Ooh. A little stretch. All right, so now that we have our tetrahedrons covered in our tissue paper, hopefully that wasn't too bad for you guys. And hopefully any problems that you've experienced with shortness of string or not enough tissue paper, I do apologize again. But I hope that we can make it a goal for us all to get to this stage where we are ready to form the kite. So I think the best thing to do is to get the pieces of the kite so that you are looking at the back of them. And you know you're looking at the back of them when you have the two covered faces of the tetrahedrons facing out. Okay, and then from here, what we can do is go ahead and begin to make the general shape of what the tetrahedron's gonna look like. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna flip them down, and we are going to put them like so. Let me see here. We're gonna do 2 on the bottom. Okay, and you see you got your extra pieces of string. This is where you're gonna be tying the two tetrahedrons together. And then what we can do is we'll take another one. I'm sorry, I got this backwards. The backs are facing us. I had it right the first time. My apologies. Okay, 2 on the bottom, and then we're gonna put 1 on the top. And then literally, the 4th one is going to go on top like so. So once you got them all stacked up here, what I want you to take a look at is that you have all these extra pieces of string. This is where you're gonna be tying them together. So you'll tie here, you are going to tie this edge, this vertex to this vertex, and this vertex to this vertex, and then this vertex here. So you got a little tiny bit of a string here. This is going to be tricky, but with some perseverance, I'm gonna be able to tackle that and get that tied off in a knot. So what I think we can do is go ahead and get started tying our knots. Why don't we go ahead and tie the bottom 2 together. Be the short of the long. Tie them together, get them nice and tight. Classic double knot. And we can tie the top. Go hunting for my little bit of string here. And this is another tiny little piece. It's gonna be exciting. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these positioned in whatever way I can get them positioned to make it easier for me to tie my knots. Okay? All right, you guys go ahead and do the same thing. All right, so I'm gonna have you walk along with me as I do this. So again, the backs are facing you, 2 covered sides are facing outwards, and then we'll attach the 2 vertices. I have these 2 little tiny pieces of string, guys, so if you need to get help, do it. If not, it's okay to just let it fall while you do your best to get that double knot tied. So all right. Something like that. Mrs. Tillish is laughing at me as I'm trying to tie this knot. And it's tied. We're gonna be good with that. Okay? And then we can do the other side. Plenty of room on this one. Those tied off, and I got plenty of room to get that second tie in there. That's that. There we have it. Okay. Step 1 in tying complete, and then getting the top tied on. All right. Tie the 2 pieces. Mrs. Tillish is going to be putting music to this piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then go ahead and tie the last piece together. Voila! The kite with many faces. So what we can do as a final step, one, choose your top. Because whatever your top is, you want to keep your dangly string. So you may want to choose, you definitely want to choose the side that has the longest string as your top, okay? And then for the rest of them, we can just go through, clean it up. Keep on cleaning. Sprucing up the job site. And what you're left with is a beautiful, beautiful tetrahedron kite with a couple of little extras, like so. All right, kids, thanks for joining me.
Can it really fly?
The tetrahedron kite. The question is, can it really fly? And yes, it can really fly. As an extension to this activity, you can actually recreate, just like we created each individual tetrahedron, you can recreate each section tetrahedron and start to stack the bigger tetrahedrons on top of one another. The bigger the tetrahedron kite is, the better it's going to fly. But what you have created is a functioning kite that can, yes, indeed, fly by attaching some kite string to the longer string that you left at the top, and go for a bike ride and let that thing sail behind you, or catch a breeze on the golf field. So what you've created here is a tetrahedron kite. I'm proud of you guys. Thanks for joining me.